Heather, do we have any pins? Yes. Or no, maybe. I found it. You want me to start the recording? I'm sorry? All righty, everyone in a moment. Put that knife and fork, that plastic knife where I am at.
Well, I helped Caesar, dock area.
Yeah.
So design competition, I think.
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-3247. That's 909-396-3247. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
All righty. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is the Young Leaders Advisory Council. This is our meeting scheduled for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. This is our fourth meeting of 2025. And I can truly say that it is very, very good to see y'all around this table. I think this is the time for roll call, so I'll turn it over to Heather for roll call.
Gabriela Ballesteros. Absent. Emmanuel de Jesus Cruz. Absent. Alexander Goitia Fajardo. Leslie Helen Garcia. Absent. Mark Jimenez. Absent. Shirley Mario Rivera. Absent. Jordan Ashley Salcedo.
Hello, here virtually.
Lynn Tran. Lynn, we'll need you to unmute yourself and let us know you're present.
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you. Angela Lou Ariano. Absent. Sylvester Lopez. Absent. Robert Mendoza. Absent. Roxana Ferreira. Absent. Andres Cornell.
Present.
Jose Marquez Cuevas.
Here.
Evan Denham. Absent. Vanessa Malesio. Absent. Maya Itzel Rivas.
Here.
Dominic Rodriguez. Absent. Daniel Jeffrey Alcantara Rodriguez. Absent. Jessica Santos. Absent. Joshua Shield.
Present.
Gilbert Sebastian Sanchez.
Present.
Elizabeth Zamora. Absent. We do not have quorum for this meeting today.
Just to clarify, because we don't have quorum present at the notice location, the remote attendees who I believe were going to appear under the just cause exception, because we didn't meet the quorum requirement, you can only observe and not participate in the meeting, including the presentation that was scheduled.
Oh, so we have to pull the presentation?
We'll have to continue it to the next meeting.
Okay.
Oh, well, that means you have to come back next year.
Sounds good. Happy to do
Okay,
so.
all right. Okay, good. All right, okay, so thank you, Nick. This is the first time, so whatever that flu thing that's going around that's knocking people out, I mean, and it's significant, so our apologies that we won't be able to approve minutes, and it's gonna adjust our agenda somewhat, but I'm happy that you all are here, and I do believe that we can benefit from the presence of our agenda and what we're gonna do today. So thank you everyone for being here to our November meeting. And I think everybody knows who I am, and I don't see anyone in the public that doesn't know. But again, my name is Dr. Cecil Johnson. I am the Deputy Executive Officer for the Community Engagement AIR programs, and I am also the Advisory Council Chair. And so folks were able to receive the minutes, but again, as we do not have quorum, we cannot approve the minutes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so can we make changes to the minutes or anything like that, or you just gotta can't take any action? Okay, all right, got it. All right, thank you. Okay, and so let's see. So I think, are we pulling number 3 then?
Yes.
We're pulling number 3 on the agenda. Okay, and then the annual report for YLAC. We can actually go into that. Can we discuss that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not taking action.
Okay, got it. All right, perfect. Okay. All right. So anyway, so an overview of our meeting today is that we will, as typical for the November meeting, we review the annual report for YLAC. This is an opportunity for you all to review and offer us feedback on the annual report that we give to the governing board. We will also take time to do our community spotlight. And this is again an opportunity for you all to elevate or spotlight any issues or concerns or events that are within your respective communities. The goal and charter updates. This is for an opportunity for us to come together and discuss our goals and objectives for the 2026 year. And even if my hope is, of course, you all will stay involved as you can. But it is important because we only meet 4 times a year that we, as much as possible, kind of preempt what we hope the goals will be for the 2026 year. So we start talking in the 2025 year. And then when we start at the beginning of 2026, we'll actually approve those goals to be able to go to the board. So we want your feedback on our goals and any charter updates that we should have, but we won't be voting on those today. We are so pleased that Melinda Dumasani, who is from the California Air Resources Board, is going to speak on her experiences in working with youth driven opportunities. And so we wanted to be able to put her in space with you all. She was able to introduce us to an intern this summer who just kind of rocked our world. And we were just so happy to be in space with other young people who are doing this work. So we thought it would be great to have Melinda come in from the Bay, like from Sacramento. So flown down to come in here today and speak with you all. And so Melinda is the Community Funding and Strategies Manager for CARB. And then we will share with you all any upcoming engagement opportunities that we have for you all to participate in. And so that's how we will kind of do that. We'll open it up to other business and then ask for public comments. So that's kind of our meeting today. So we're doing the most with the least, but that's how we roll. All right. So annual report for YLAC. All right. So if we can go to, I believe it is kind of several pages in, you'll see draft 2025 annual report of the Young Leaders Advisory Council. So this is really for opportunity for you all to kind of share what you felt we did this year as a YLAC group. This will be shared with the governing board after we approve it. So we'll approve this at our next meeting. And then it'll go to the board after that. And so we just kind of share what the group accomplished over the past year with members of our governing board. So any thoughts, comments, or questions that folks had about the annual report? This was our best guess of documenting what we presented to you all as a group. But is there anything that you all feel like we should add or anything that you would like to contribute, including the proposed goals for 2026? So anything you all like to add to the annual report?
Well, I reviewed it and it seemed like it summarized what we've done in the past year. So yeah, I appreciated it. Thank you.
I would just venture to say this if I could. You all, it's meant on our team, it's meant the most for us to work with YLAC. Like I said before, I talk of you all quite often when I'm in the spaces that we're in, which is how I was talking with Melinda in another meeting, and uplifting the work that you all do. And I know our team really enjoys being in this space. And it really does impact other work. And so what Jordan was going to speak to, and what we're hoping to open up to the rest of you all, is we have consistently nominated communities who are disproportionately impacted by air pollution, but did not have any funding in our 8617 program. And so we are still committed to providing support for those consistently nominated communities, of which several of you all represent, like you all are members of those communities. And so Jordan volunteered to be able to walk us through her community over the past, 2 weeks ago, early December. And she introduced us to members of her community, people who have been fighting for air pollution for decades. I have to say, were so impressed with Jordan as a young person in the fight. I didn't see a lot of that ageism and adultism that quite often goes like, you don't know enough to be able to do that. And they really truly were very appreciative that she was able to bring AQMD staff into the neighborhood. And so we were definitely moved by the time, and it's something that I really would like to be insistent that we do again. I think you all taking us out into the community is a definite good thing. You all talk quite often about what's happening in your communities, but there's nothing like actually taking somebody in it. And we definitely weren't in that kind of a trauma tourism thing where like we just needed to see all the bad stuff. It was, no, we met, we had a meal, we talked to folks, we shared, we built trust. And even though you all aren't necessarily part of the 8617 program, this is I think, a method by which we all should do. And I know because of the rules around Brown Act, we can't all go as a group. But our intention and how we can share this with you all is if we could do it with as many YLAC members over the course of a year that we can, and then making sure that folks do presentations so that everyone can kind of hear what happens in those sessions. But that's definitely something that is new this year that we did, and I would really like to see happen. We were able to do just one this year, but I'm definitely wanting us to do more and get us out in the community with you all. So.
Well, as a representative of the Coachella Valley, July is a fantastic time to come.
You are
visit.
Of course, at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
It's still 110, but yes.
Whoa, yeah, yes. Well, we want to come.
Yes.
We definitely want to come. So, anyone else have any feedback or any thoughts to the annual report? Okay. All right. And so then also as a part of this is proposed goals for, or is that the next, that's a different item, right? The proposed goals, it looks like it's number 6. Yeah, okay, even though the annual report is up. Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna table that. So we got some feedback. So now it's time for community spotlight. So this is an opportunity for YLAC members to elevate or spotlight issues or concerns or events within your respective communities. So is there anything going on in your communities that you all like to share with us?
So I
Oh, and
recently.
make sure to say your name for the record.
Oh yeah, Gilbert Sebastian Sanchez. I recently joined last year an organization called the Institute of Transportation Engineers. I believe I invited the president of the organization to this meeting, where we are advocating for multi-mobility, less reliance on cars, and designing cities for more green and efficient scooters, e-bikes, bicycles, buses, and stuff. And we recently took part in the ITC competition in UC Davis last week, where ITE at UCR was it was its first competition, and people were impressed with our work there. And that is all I have to say about that.
Cool.
Over in El Monte, I live in the San Gabriel Valley. So when it rained before this current rainstorm, there were parts of El Monte that flooded. And so, yeah, our public works team had to kind of go around and support our communities, and there were some cars that were kind of damaged. Luckily, nobody got hurt, but yeah, the flooding was a little bit crazy, which means that we, need more stormwater capture projects to be able to support the community in becoming more flood resistant. And a little personal update. I became a board member of the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy. So yeah, if you're ever interested in coming to the board meetings, you'll be seeing me.
Any other community updates? Okay. All right. Y'all are getting to it. Actually, how is it out there? Like, how is the community right now? How are folks doing? I mean, there may not be events or anything, but like real talk, like how is it out there?
I guess there's been a lot more interaction recently, especially reflective of recent events. There seems to be a bit more talking. But with everything outside of this in terms of like a political sphere, don't really want to get into it. I'm feeling much less completely terrified as compared to probably our first or second meeting this year. But it definitely still is a little bit of a difficult climate to kind of want to climb out and necessarily interact with all the time. At least from my perspective.
Warehouse building is accelerating in my community. More and more often, it's the place that they allocated for construction is becoming a hub for truck storage. So more trucks are illegally driving on our street. It's a designated like multi-axle vehicles are not allowed, but they still try to speed through it, and it causes like a lot of shaking and disruption in my neighborhood, and it just hasn't stopped. Like it sometimes happens day, morning, night, and in the evening, you think it's like a tremor, an earthquake. No, it's just a truck blowing past, probably going above the speed limit. So unfortunately, that is an impact that's happening on our street. And I bet other streets that are connecting to that area.
And your city is where again?
Chino, but it's on the border of Chino and Ontario, and the building is happening in Ontario.
There's been more apartments being built. Oh, my name is Maya. My son's little. There's been more apartments being built in my community, which has been, it's good because, there's more housing, but then some residents are upset because there's already a congestion problem in terms of traffic. So that's what I've seen a lot of community members being upset about, just future concerns for traffic.
I know one thing that, as we were out in the community a few weeks ago, we were in some spaces and, folks, there's some odors, there's some smells, there's some, we love the rain because the rain washes away a lot of the pollution. But there was definitely some, people were like, there's privilege in finding about stuff for the first time, right? So there's a lot of privilege in like going into a community and seeing for the first time, like it smells like this, or wow, it looks like that. And so I will say that the folks who we interacted with received us with grace, because I really did feel like I was brand new, right? Like, okay, yeah, I'm brand new to the party, and like you all have been living with this. And so I just, again, want to appreciate the young leaders advising, because you all have not just aware of it, you've grown up with it, right? And so, and grown up with it oftentimes not with the voice, because you've been young people or children in schools and high schools and so forth. And so I'm just appreciative of anyone who opens up the space to be able to tell us stuff. But I definitely felt brand new going into some spaces, going into some neighborhoods, in which, like, I didn't realize how many warehouses were in the neighborhood, like so many, like back to back to back. And there were people who were saying, like, oh, but this means jobs. But then they were saying like, no, this doesn't mean jobs. And so that narrative was kind of being pushed back. So I know that's what we've been hearing from some folks. So I just wanted to elevate that as well. So.
Andres Cornell, I will mention this. A lot of Prop 4 funding is starting to become available and accessible. And
what is Prop 4 funding?
Prop 4 it passed in March of 2024. And it's focusing on clean air programs and recreation, among other things. And it was a bond that was passed by the voters in March. I was active in making sure that that bond got passed because I'm good friends with one of the co-authors of the bill. And unfortunately, due to politics, our community isn't poised to receive as much funding as we would have had November been a little bit different. So in that, a lot of the funding is going to areas and spaces that already have funding, such as San Diego County, LA County, rather than Riverside County and Imperial County. So that's something that I'm actively tracking within, my role in other spaces, but it's something that is definitely disheartening.
If I can ask, do you know why that funding is being allocated to those areas rather than yours?
My friend, he retired from the assembly. The person that was supported to replace him didn't win his election. So as a new assembly member, this new person, as well intentioned as he may be, doesn't necessarily have the same social capital to bring the funding to the communities that help pass it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, for sharing that information. I'm appreciative of, again, the word on the street and what's happening. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I think we have Robert join us. Hi, Robert. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so is there anything that you'd like to highlight that's going on in your community?
Not at the moment.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I see, there we go. Okay, moving forward to goals and charters update. Okay, so if we're moving through our information, we are looking at the annual report and specifically what you all propose our goals for 2026. As we don't have quorum, we won't vote on it, but we would want to get any input that you all have. So even if it's not your intention, but I hope it is, to be able to continue on YLAC for 2026, what would be some goals that you all feel this group should do in 2026?
I like
that. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I'm sorry, you can't participate in the meeting.
Huh?
Yeah, you're one of the members of the group, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't have quorum, so we can't have any remote participants.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I really liked how you guys were going out and offered that one way to strengthen community ties was to go out into the community. So I don't know if we can be more specific with anything here. I think it falls into category or goal number 2. I think that's a good outreach method. I was also wondering if we could quantify anything here. I know that these goals are broad because they can encompass a lot of different areas, but if we can say engage in 2 outreach events with the community, something like that, I think that would help focus.
So add the numbers to this. Okay, gotcha.
And along the same lines, would it be possible to recommend a joint meeting with the administrative committee? That way we can also present our work.
Gotcha.
Because I do watch the administrative committee meetings and you do a great job of highlighting us. But if we could.
Yeah. So one thing that we did, I think you did bring this up for discussion, and it was you all could come and do public comment at that time. So I think that we can definitely investigate a joint presentation and wanting to be able to do that. But just know that even in the short term, you all can always comment in public comment during the admin committee about, especially when something like YLAC comes up. But we can put it in now. joint. Cool. Absolutely. Are folks liking these goals because this is kind of continuing on what you've done this year and moving forward? Right. And again, we're not going to be voting on this today, so we can always come back to that, but okay, all right, good to know. All right, so next up, let's see. Charter updates. So in looking at the next pages of this, is there anything that you all feel like we would want to make in terms of any charter updates for YLAC? I believe this particularly came up because we were talking about wanting to meet more frequently. Is that, no, that wasn't it, okay. I know that today, notwithstanding, we've had quorum every meeting for the past 2 years. And so I definitely feel like there is enough to talk about in the 4 meetings per year. So that's one thing that I would chime in that we've heard from folks who aren't here today, but we've heard in previous meetings. So I also would venture to say too, as I know that we're trying to be a lot more efficient with some of the committees within our governing board group. I feel like this group meeting and having the quorum is kind of reminiscent of why it needs to stay. I feel like you all have a definitely unique voice. So the more that we can get your voice in front of the board, I would want to see happen because I do think that y'all have vantage points. And so I like that you all give us information and it isn't just us telling you stuff, but you all telling us stuff. So it feels very symbiotic that way. So I would want that to continue in your charter and in your interactions with each other is this exchange of information. Your participation in events as you can and us being in your, events as you can do, that is good. All right. So we will be tabling this for the next meeting, but yes. All right. So then next up we have Melinda. Yes. So as I mentioned before, Melinda Dumasani is our colleague from the California Air Resources Board. And we've invited her to come and talk with you all today in alignment with our goals that we wanted you to be in space, not just with South Coast AQMD members, but also members of the government across the state of California who are working on air pollution and community air protections. And so I believe that Melinda has a presentation. Is that correct? All right. And so we can turn that onto the screen. And I'm also pleased that Melinda came in person. Yay. And so I'm going to turn it over to Melinda. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here today. This is something that's very close to my heart. I love working with young people such as yourselves who are getting started in the air quality arena. But I suspect, based upon some of the things that I've already heard you say, is that you've been involved in air quality work for quite a long time, right? And so just to kind of, if you give me liberty, because I'm new to your group, if you can just kind of give me the liberty of just sharing with me, like, how are you showing up today? So if you can just give me like 1 or 2 words as to how you're feeling. So maybe we'll just go around the room really quickly if you won't, just give me the liberty of doing that. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Andres Cornell, I'm feeling very excited.
Excited, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alexander Goitia, I'm definitely really excited to hear your presentation.
All right, thank you.
I'm Maya. I feel ready.
Ready.
to learn.
I like that. Thank you.
I'm Gilbert, and I feel happy and I feel excited.
All right.
I'm Robert and I'm excited to learn.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm Jose from Riverside County, and I think I'm hopeful for the future.
Nice.
And I'm Joshua Scheel. I'm also excited to learn.
All right, so we have a lot of people excited. Very good to hear that. That is definitely music to my ears. And then definitely glad to hear some, hopeful folks. And definitely, I love the ready. That's absolutely what we need to bring to the table. And I'm really glad that you all have that, pull up your bootstraps and roll up your sleeves kind of attitude, because that's what we need in the air quality space, right? And so I hail from Sacramento. However, my communities that I work with in CARB, the Community Air Resources Board. So at CARB, we do a lot of acronyms. So if I say an acronym accidentally that you don't understand, please stop me and I will definitely it just rolls off the tongue. So in the community airspace, in the Community Air Protection Program, which is where I work, it is a program that we work with the 35 air districts within the state of California all throughout. And as part of that, my specific area is in Southern California. So I get the pleasure of working with Walter and Sessa and the folks around the room here in South Coast. And I also work with the Imperial County and also the San Diego air districts. So I also manage the Community Air Grants Program. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'm going to kind of do kind of a whole swath of the program. But there are some questions. So this is me being a little bit selfish here and taking advantage of the expertise around the room. I want to hear from you all some questions that I have in regards to just collaborating with you, such as yourself, okay? So it'll be kind of a two-way thing. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I want this to be a dialogue, so not necessarily a presentation, talk. I would love to hear any questions that you have as well. So again, anytime you want to have or ask me any questions, just stop and pause me, okay? So I will kind of go back and forth from just kind of asking you questions and then also to kind of taking it, going along in this presentation that I've brought forward, just to kind of give you a little bit of more of a sense about what we do at CARB. So if you'll follow along with me in next slide, I guess slide 8, is that? Thank you. Okay, so who is CARB? So how many folks know what CARB is? Does anybody know what the Community Air Resources Board is or does? And if you don't, it's okay. Oh, well, awesome. So let me ask you this, Andres. Do you happen to know what CARB regulates?
I don't.
Okay, that's okay.
I just know I've been part of groups that ask for funding from CARB and other.
We got the money. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So we work very closely with South Coast in disseminating money, but yes, we do have quite a bit of money to disseminate to incentivize a lot of the programs that we have working with communities. In particular, my program works a lot and focuses on working with communities. So that's the kind of the heart and the nexus of our program. But to kind of give you a zoomed out view of how we operate, so definitely we work with the federal government in regards to our regulations and policies. Well, not so much anymore, but we definitely try our best to work closely with the federal government, particularly the United States Environmental Protection Agency, their air program, and that would be the US EPA Region 9. So we have 10 regions throughout the United States, and we work specifically with Region 9. So that includes a lot of other states. So it includes Hawaii, Alaska, California, Nevada, and we're pretty much everybody on the Pacific side of the United States. So in addition to that, they regulate the trains, the ships, the planes. And we at the state, the California Air Resources Board, we're under the umbrella, under the governor's cabinet. So the governor has different agencies, and we're under the California Environmental Protection Agency. So a little bit different from the United States Protection Agency. We are under the umbrella, and we have 6 boards, departments, and offices that work on different aspects of the environment. So we specifically work on air, but we have an agency, of course, that works on water. And we also have agency that works on hazardous waste and pesticide regulation. We also have an agency that also focuses on risk assessment. So that's a whole bunch of words, but basically we got the environment covered. And as you know, being here in this wonderful state, being in the 5th largest economy, we have the opportunity to have very aggressive and progressive environmental laws, right? And so, of course, CARB leads the way in terms of air quality protection. And so we at CARB specifically regulate mobile sources. So that's cars, trucks, buses, and all that good stuff. And then we work with the district who regulates stationary sources. Absolutely. Just want to say that, a lot of this work that we do is absolutely critical that we all work together. We cannot do it in silo. So that pretty much is the gist of that picture, that we cannot do this alone, right? Air quality doesn't stop at the state border. It doesn't stop at the community border. We have to all work together in order to make this work. Next slide, please. All right. So this just really kind of highlights again that partnership that we have with South Coast. And I'll just say that our program that we co-partner in, the implementation of, drills down to the community level. This is so innovative. I can't stress to you how innovative it is in terms of the first of its kind in the nation to look at air quality from a community level, right? A lot of states definitely operate on air quality and focus on air quality, but usually that's from a county level, right? Or it's from a state level, like some states are just very small. We in California have a population of, close to 50 million, I'll say 48 on paper. But in order to do that, we know that there's different topographies throughout California and different communities that we have to kind of look at things a little bit differently. So that is the reason why in 2017, we had a law that was AB 617, Assembly Bill 617, that was enacted to look at air quality from a community level. So within South Coast has the most communities that it is working with, and you see those here. In year one, what we mean by that is that in 2018, South Coast took off hit the ground running, and started working and selected 3 communities. The second year, it had 2 communities, and the third year, the 6th. So South Los Angeles is one of the newer communities, but I'm sure you're all aware of South LA. Yes? Okay. Next slide, please. So we have a lot of regulations, which we are, definitely very excited about and feel very strongly about. Right now, we are challenged by some external pressures in terms of implementation, but that will not deter our focus. But I will say that in order for us to achieve our state goals, our state climate goals of 2025, 2045, and I believe it's definitely something that we're having to think a little bit differently about, given just the external pressure, shall I say. But we are very committed to our climate goals in addition to our air quality goals. So they work symbiotically with each other here in the state. Next slide, please. So again, just kind of touching back on the air assembly bill that kind of started it and kicked this all off. Assembly Bill 617 really was groundbreaking in the sense that never before had a state really kind of looked at air quality from a community level. And I'll just say that we are still thinking about what is the best approach in doing that. This is groundbreaking. This is innovative. It had never been done before. We don't have a guidebook. And so what we knew in 2017, which was, creating a whole new kind of guidebook from scratch. And what we know now is definitely different, right? We've had some lessons learned. And that is in particular working with communities, right? Not all communities are built the same, right? I think you all have shared that, there's different focuses and priorities in your community right now. So I'm going to pause and say, I'm going to ask you around the room, what are the 2 priorities in your communities that are a focus in your community? I mentioned a couple already. So I'm going to
Yes, so Salton Sea, that's massive in that scope. But also right now, it's just protecting our farm workers and all of that through pesticide and other factors.
All right, thank you. All right, other.
So in Southeast LA, it's mainly you know, with besides like ice and everything, it's environmental remediation, just like looking at soil and making sure it's clean.
Environmental remediation?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And I just want to acknowledge that you said ice. Like, you said ice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like that continues to be what we're hearing as well.
Yes.
And like, just addressing things like air pollution is like, we wish, right? But that is definitely something that we're hearing a lot from other communities who aren't maybe here today. So I just wanted to kind of.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Oh.
I would say my community is concerned about traffic and then also water and like water prices.
Traffic and water? Okay.
My community is mainly facing with, as I mentioned before, increased commercial activity with heavy duty vehicles and construction of warehouses, which causes more air pollution as these heavy trucks are moving through neighborhoods, and traffic as well. We're bordered by the 60, the 71, and obviously when it's rush hour, you get a lot of pollution.
Robert?
Like two general issues or related to air?
Yeah, just, it could be general issues, but if it's related to air, that's also good too. Either way.
So I'm from Anaheim. I'd say one issue would be the lack of green space. It's mostly roads and, asphalt everywhere. And housing.
I would say for my community is there's an increase of like commercial and residential development. Also traffic congestion for sure. And then I think just seeing a high spike of respiratory issues within the community. There's a lot of asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia.
Housing and development and traffic congestion, and said public health issue. Thank you.
Similarly, San Bernardino is being very heavily developed in terms of logistics, warehousing, and I suppose the concerns would lie around idling and also, heavy vehicle emissions and the related issues, and kind of where that might lie, whether it's considered tandem to a stationary or a mobile source.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, and thank you, Joshua, what I'm hearing is a lot of different themes, right? But there's some similarities there. Definitely traffic congestion is a similar theme, right? And then warehouse development is definitely a similar theme. And then even housing is a similar theme. And I think you could even weave, Alex, the environmental remediation of just projects, right? A lot of the warehousing and housing definitely have to remediate some of the environmental impacts. So there's a lot of common themes that are threaded through your different communities, but there are other aspects and factors that are also very unique, right? So there's a benefit to you all coming here today. And I'll just highlight that in that the fact that you all come here and hear how others are addressing and advocating for different strategies is definitely important, right? In different forums, because I heard you say already today that some of you advocate in different forums. And it's so important to be able to advocate for your communities in those different spaces, because that's where you get the different strategies. That's where you're able to leverage. So I'm excited to hear you all share about some of the issues that are facing your communities today, because that's also too what we do at CARB and in partnership with South Coast to address with folks at the table. So just like this, right? I will say, so I'm going to just give a little bit of background about myself. So I have over 25 years of experience working at the state level on environmental justice issues. So I used to work at here I go with my acronyms, the California Environmental Protection Agency. So that agency that has its boards, departments, and office, right? And I was the environmental justice liaison. So I work specifically on environmental justice issues, and that touches many different aspects: water, waste, air, pesticides, the whole gambit. I also was the tribal liaison. And again, there are environmental justice issues folded in that. They're not environmental justice issues, they are tribal issues because Native American tribes in California, where we in California are home to the second largest population of Native Americans in the nation, second to Oklahoma. They also faced environmental justice issues as well. And I will say that, the one factor that brings me to the table, that brought me to the table and had my job as environmental justice. Now think about it. We had environmental laws long before environmental justice laws. The failure happened at not applying those laws fairly, right? So environmental justice, the state definition is the fair treatment of all peoples, right? Regardless of income and regardless of even though they might, well, I'll just say that the language is a little bit dated, right? It was minority communities that all people are supposed to be treated fairly, right? We definitely need to update that language to fit current times, but that is to say that environmental justice laws were applied because folks weren't applying it fairly, right? And it's a lot of having to do with folks that were at the table. Folks out there at the table weren't thinking about, okay, I need to bring these community groups, the people that live and breathe in the communities that I'm going to make decisions on, to the table to ask them what they think is the problem or how they would solve the problem. So I can't tell you how your efforts here today, you might think, oh, I'm just going to a meeting. No, I'll have to tell you in my 25 years of experience, how important it is for you to be here, how important it is for you to share the priorities, even if you have to say it 1 time, 10 times, 5 times. It is so important, right? Because there's people like me and people that are making the big time decisions that need to hear from you about how you think your communities should be brought to the table, how you think these solutions should be realized, right? And be creative. So I can't stress that enough. So that's my little kind of foray into my background. But in any event, I'll just say one of the things that brings me also here is the fact that we need to focus on communities, right? There are 19 communities within our community air protection program throughout the state. There are more than 19 communities that are facing disproportionate air quality impacts, right? And so it is prioritizing. So you prioritize just 1 or 2 priorities in your communities, but I'm sure there's many more. But how do we go about prioritizing traffic congestion? How do we go about prioritizing the congestion that happens around warehouse development or a housing development, right? So it's coming to these type of forums that is so important. Okay, so I'm gonna get off that diatribe and we'll go to next slide, please. Okay, so my guidebook, I guess the thing that we follow is our statewide strategy. This is what we call the Blueprint 2.0. This is the strategy that my agency follows in order to address air quality issues at the community level. I don't know if you're familiar with this document, if you've heard of this document. How many people have heard of Blueprint? Okay, all right, that's South Coast says. But how many people on the committee have heard about Blueprint 2.0? Okay, so if you want to know more about how the state is thinking innovatively, creatively to bring communities to the table, I highly recommend just taking a look at this document. And this document is what we follow in order to engage with communities to find solutions to these issues, these priorities that you talk about. right? And again, this is not, this is a living document. So this is something that we want to, have evolve over time. As we know better, we want to do better. This is our best product from 2023, but we're learning as we go, right? So as I sit in this room, I'm hearing things that, definitely we can input into the blueprint, right? Different ways that we can go about engaging with communities going into the blueprint. So we update this document every 5 years, but basically this is our guidebook on how we implement our community air protection program. Next slide, please. So again, I mentioned that there's 19 communities and South Coast has the most out of the 19 communities. In South Coast, there are 6. So you'll see them kind of all that blue down there at the bottom is South Coast. A couple of those communities, there are 4 that are not South Coast that do belong to San Diego and Imperial counties. The benefit to this is that, because of the geographic location of each of these communities, they are unique, right? I'll say that even within South Coast, the communities are unique. So South LA is certainly different from ECV, for instance, right? So it is very important to have these conversations regularly and often. So these opportunities that South Coast creates, Dr. Sessa and Walter and the team creating those opportunities for all the CSCs to come together and talk with each other, to learn with each other is definitely important. Opportunities such as this, where you have youth come together and think about strategies is absolutely important. I want to highlight right now the fact that in no other district do you find a youth leadership advisory committee. Okay, so innovative, absolutely. Something that we at CARB definitely want to model, and that's the reason why I am very honored to be to have been invited to your group, because it's something that we at CARB want to definitely highlight. And I'll talk more about the opportunities that hopefully we'll have an opportunity for you to collaborate and join us in these discussions at your level on the committee. If we can, next slide, please. So we do have plans. Each of the communities have different plans and strategies, right? And they have different actions. So different things that they're doing to address some of the priorities that you mentioned. So we do have communities that are working on traffic congestion. We have communities that are working on warehouse development, right? And definitely something that is kind of our Gantt chart, so to speak, for what is it going to look like in 2018 to 2025. And so a lot of those strategies focus on rules and regulations. Some of those strategies focus on air quality permitting and land use and transportation, exposure mitigation, incentives, enforcement, and facility-specific risk reduction. Now, I say all that, and it's a lot of different words, but what the takeaway here is that we kind of use a lot of different levers to, address air quality in the state. What I want to drill down on is, like as you mentioned, CARB has a lot of money. Absolutely, we have a lot of money, and that comes from our greenhouse gas reduction. So that cap and trade program that is now has been rebranded as Cap and Invest. I don't know if you've heard about that. We get a lot of monies from that, right? So that's the polluting industry that are having to put in order to kind of not hit the cap. We use those monies to incentivize businesses. And we also, I run a program that comes from those greenhouse gas reduction dollars that gives monies directly to communities to address air quality issues. Of course, we also utilize our oversight in working with the air districts with air quality permitting. We don't permit, but certainly the air districts have authority over air quality permitting. Rules and regulations, we absolutely utilize that lever as well. Land use and transportation, we have to be very creative, right? Because there's a Department of Transportation in the state, otherwise known as Caltrans, that also has authority over transportation. And then there's the Department of Housing that definitely focuses on land use and those type of permitting issues. I will say that the challenge has been around land use because there's a lot of institutional decision-making that has really exacerbated the air quality in certain communities, right? You have certain permitting that has been like, okay, we always put refineries or we always put chrome plating facilities in that community. And they might be 100 yards from a school. Right. And so being able to address those type of issues, those things that are maybe weren't so, maybe were great, cost effective before, but not so great in from the environmental now, are some of the things that we're having to think creative about, like how do we go back and address those, poor decisions, right, from the environmental standpoint. And then we also use coordinated enforcement. So one of the things that we're also doing within CARB and working with the Air District is to do coordinated enforcement actions in communities. And one of the ways that we do that, we definitely try to work with industry and businesses to, kind of carry the carrot. But if we have to, we also use the stick if necessary. So I'll just say that enforcement is not always just kind of hammering folks into doing things. We want to bring everybody to the table. So that's also involving communities to identify areas of concern. Okay, next slide, please. I'm going to kind of go over these kind of quickly because I want to leave time for you all to have any questions. And then I'm going to ask you some questions as well. So we have an incentive guidelines update. A lot of this is a lot of the kind of tools that CARB has created in order to address some of those priorities that I mentioned. We have online really trying to create new tools for community members to find out more about their communities. So if you go to our website, and I believe the website might be on a subsequent slide here, you can find out, put in your community that you're from, and you can find out a little bit more about the air quality picture in your respective areas. And also, South Coast also has them. I'm sure they've showcased them to you as well. They have the dashboards, but we at CARB also have our own version of those data sets. So I mentioned to you that some of the kind of incentives that we do, not incentives, let not say that because that might be trigger a different word. Some of the grants that we fund are to community-based organizations. So I don't know if any of you are working with community-based organizations right now in your respective areas, but I manage a program that gives monies to community-based organizations and federally recognized, and Native American tribes to work on air quality issues. And this past year, we awarded double than we've ever awarded in the whole history of the program. It was close to 21 million.
How much was that again?
21 million. And so we're really excited about the opportunities that are afforded there because we feel that even the little dollars, so mind you, the project totals are $300,000 to $500,000, a lot of money. They utilize that funding so well and effectively, and the impacts are tremendous. And they do, community-based organizations and tribes do so much with so many little dollars. I'm always happy. That's the one part of my job that I'm just always excited about doing, even though it's a lot of work, because again, the innovative solutions that come up within these projects are tremendous. There is a board-approved consultation group for which Dr. Sessa and Walter have now joined. We are going to have our second meeting. December 3rd? Yeah, December the 3rd. And it will be a public meeting. It will be here in Riverside. So if you guys want to come and watch, you can absolutely come. It's going to be at our state-of-the-art facility in Riverside. And let me just say, this state-of-the-art facility, this is where we do our car testing. So, if we ever want to kind of get together and have the group come to our Riverside facility and have a tour of our state-of-the-art facility and the testing facility, we're happy to do that. So let me know if you guys are interested or definitely let South Coast know and we'll definitely coordinate. So the community of practice there is something that we're also working on. As I mentioned to you before, what we knew in 2008 when we started this program is a lot different than what we know now. And so we are actively working together with our district partners and our community partners to find out what is working, right? So this is something that actually Dr. Sessa spearheaded, is to really try to dig down and have those conversations about what is working, what are the lessons learned, right? And just kind of getting with people that are on the same page, right? So we have ongoing conversations that we are facilitating to kind of really kind of glean those takeaway and those lessons learned as we implement this program. All right, so next slide, please. I'm going to kind of go over, I'm going to kind of skip over some of these kind of more data heavy projects. We do community air monitoring. That's kind of a snapshot there. We have a state mobile monitoring initiative that kind of takes a deep dive into the methane leaks that are happening out throughout California in our consistently nominated communities. We have a SNAPS program, and right now, for the life of me, I can't remember what that acronym is. So I'll have to get back to you on that. But that's also a monitoring operation as well. So I'm going to skip over this a little bit quicker. Are we good on time?
Yes, we're
I know I'm kind of talked a little bit. If you wouldn't mind, can we skip to the community air protection incentive benefits? And if you have questions on the other slides that I have brought that are really kind of data and text heavy, I'm happy to give you the kind of background to that. But I kind of want to leave it, since we have a smaller group, for us to kind of dialogue a little bit more, so if you don't mind. If you can skip to the incentive benefits slide. Yep, oh, right there. Oh, yeah, right there. Okay, so, and we go one more, I think it is. Yep. Okay, so as we said, there's a lot of incentive benefits that have come through CARB that basically go back out into the communities. And this is a lot really to kind of drive the community into zero emission vehicles and activities, right? And so you'll notice here that there are 6 air districts. So you'll see their little kind of logo on the side. So Bay Area, Imperial, SAC, Metro, San Diego, and San Joaquin. And of course, South Coast is down at the bottom. South Coast has, expended 172 million. That's this particular slide was from 2024. So this actually is not the most current because there has been more monies expended since then. But this kind of gives you a snapshot from 2024 as to how much money is being put out back into the community to really try to drive, the whole effort to zero emission vehicles and efforts. These right here on the side are the tons of emissions that are from the NOx and diesel particulate matters. And you'll notice that South Coast is really kind of, definitely ticking down and making those reductions happen. And then the focus on a lot of the activities that are focused around there are on locomotives, marine vessels, and off-road cargo handling. The exciting thing about this is that it helps businesses and industry really try to push towards those goals that we have in the state that are very aggressive. And without these incentives, a lot of these things wouldn't happen. So this is just a snapshot, but there's a lot more monies to be kind of driven towards these activities. So you'll see more emission reductions as the program continues. Next slide, and you can kind of skip over the, skip over that one too. You can skip one more. Oh, okay. So as I mentioned to you, I run the Community Air Grants program. A lot of the things that we hear about are to address some of those issues that you mentioned. So A lot of the projects that we have are educational projects. So, community-based organizations that are trying to educate their communities to advocate, right, to be better leaders in front of decision-making bodies. Maybe it's the city council, right? They don't just go up there and just talk, right? Just as you've learned that there are certain ways that you're going to have to either get under that 3 minute time frame, or perhaps you just are doing some letter writing, or you're having discussions with decision makers, right? There's a training that's involved in all of that. Some of these community-based organizations offer that training. If you work with an organization that is currently doing that and doesn't have a grant, come talk to me. I'd love to hear more about it in ways that maybe we can connect you with, some financial support in order to get that done. And also through our grants, we also have communities that are doing community-based monitoring, right? So they're taking their own data collection as well. Lastly, I want to just highlight a new innovative project type that we're doing. It's called the Local Emissions Reduction LSERP, Local Emissions Reduction Community.
Local community.
Local community emissions reduction program or plans, excuse me. Basically, we call those LSERPs. So again, we just love the acronyms. You'll notice that it seems like it's synonymous with SERPs, which is what the Air District implements. We have LSERPs, which are run by the community air grantees. And they are kind of doing a culmination of what, in a smaller scale, a culmination of what the air districts do, definitely on a smaller scale when they don't have, as many of the resources. But they do some identifying of priorities, right, in their communities, right? And then they also may include some monitoring, and then they also might do some planning in how to address those issues. So that is all comboed into a LSERP. That's what we call an LSERP. Okay, next slide, please. This is just a quick slide of how much money we have pushed through. So far to date, from our cycles 1 through 5, we have pushed out about 35 million. Every year we seem to do a little bit more. As you notice, in our cycles 3 and 4, we pushed out 10 million each cycle. And then this past cycle, we doubled our award. Okay, go ahead and slide please. I just wanted to highlight again both Walter and Dr. Sessa's involvement in our consultation group. One of the things that is so important with that group is that it's a just like your group, it's a body of external folks that represent a lot of different sectors. So we have local government, we have tribal folks, we have the air districts, we have community-based members. But if we didn't have all those wonderful different perspectives on how we operate our program, it wouldn't be as effective, right? We can't just say, okay, we're just going to work with the air districts, because then when we make a decision and it impacts communities from a different kind of vantage point, we don't have that perspective. So how good is our decision making? How good are our strategies and solutions without that perspective? So that is why it is so important to have this particular group come to the table and help us with that. I am going to pause and say that even this group is very important in that action, right? Because you all advise South Coast, and then South Coast then in turn takes that information and knowledge and brings it to that CARB forum, that consultation group forum. So to stay engaged here helps us tremendously. Okay, I can't say it enough. If you wanted to hear it from somebody else, from the CARB perspective, your work here is important for us at CARB at the state level. Okay, next slide, please.
That looked like me.
All right, so one of the things that I also too want to highlight is there's a lot of opportunities and ways to stay engaged. I just wanted to share with you because I know that you're at different stages of your careers and pathways in this work. And there's a lot of different opportunities that you can also take advantage of within CARB. We have a state fellowship program. It is a 1-year program that offers you an opportunity to work with folks in our executive branch. So if you want to work in the cabinet and work alongside and watch some of these decision makers make their decision, you're absolutely able to within a 1 year timeframe, and it's a paid fellowship. You're also able through the state fellowship program to work with the judicial branch. So that's working with maybe some judges, right? And then also through the state fellowship program, we also have our legislative branch. So all the three branches of government within the state, you can work for. It's a paid internship. So then that means that you'd be working with state legislators, right? In their offices. And then again, it's a paid internship. I can't stress that enough. It's a paid internship. So we also have internships at CARB. And we've actually had quite a number of interns come through, and they're through various avenues. I'll just say that we have a Riverside internship. So I know that Gilbert, I think you mentioned that you are from UCI or
UCR.
UCR and have some affiliation there. We do have a Riverside. I don't know if you've heard about our Riverside internship program, but we do have several undergraduate students that come through that program. We also have some other interns that may work at UC Davis. So, however way you are, you can be at a community college even, and we definitely have some opportunities available as well. Lastly, I'll just say that the graduate and undergraduate student assistants. So I had the pleasure, and Dr. Sessa has the pleasure of meeting some of our interns. So we've had some interns that I personally have. I've only been at CARB for 3 years, and I've had 4 interns, and they've all been awesome. All been awesome. They bring to the table the same enthusiasm and energy that I'm feeling from this table to the work that we do at CARB. I've had the pleasure of working with 4 from Stanford, and then 1 from I think they were from UC Davis. And I'll just say that you get to work alongside myself and staff, or it might be with another team within CARB. Depending on what your focus is, we try to align your work with what your focus is or your interests. And then definitely it's flexible, right? So it works with your school schedule if you're in school, but it allows you a paid summer internship to kind of really get into the work. We actually have you do the work that we have some of our staff do. So you have an understanding of what policy making is at the environmental level at CARB. I'll just kind of pause right now to say that if any of you have any interest in any of these type of opportunities that I just mentioned, please feel free to reach out and contact me. Kind of keep you engaged in other avenues. But again, I can't stress enough, I'm not trying to pull you away from South Coast. That this also too is where you heard it first. But this is absolutely a great place to keep engaged as well if it doesn't align with your other obligations. Next slide, please. Okay, and I'm leaving you here with just a picture of our urban green project that we did in the Bay Area. That's one of the type of projects that are really popular in the community air grant space. I'm leaving you my contact information if you're interested, have any questions. But again, I can't tell you enough how excited I am to be around the table, just hearing you all, talk about some of the things that are priorities in your communities, and can't stress enough, again, it is so important to come to the table because if you're not at the table, you're on the table, right? So again, just really thank you for inviting me to this space, and that is all. All right.
Thoughts, comments, questions for Melinda?
It's a lot.
If I could say this, I've only been here at South Coast. I'm coming up, Nick, hold your horses. I think I've been here now 5 years. It'll be 5 years. In January. Did you think it? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I've been here 5 years. And so my interaction with CARB has just been really pleasant. They have been so supportive of the things that we're doing here at South Coast. In the AB 617 program in particularly, it's not anything that has been done before. So when Melinda said it is truly innovative, it has not been done before. And so you all, I know, have heard of fixed mindset and growth mindset. Like we have to have a growth mindset. And so I enjoy when like we're talking about what can we do? What can we do? With Melinda and I, with several other the CAR folks, we're literally thinking about how can we do this different? Recognizing that there is sometimes a mistrust between government, knowing that this program is meant to be able to do some healing. I get it. It's not always about the reduction of emissions. Like sometimes it's about like restoring some restorative, right? And so I really appreciate you being here today, sharing this information. Because I remember when I was out in the community and Melinda was talking about these community air grants. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? There's how many? And it was back then it was $19 million, right? And so then it became 21. And people in our communities were like, we don't trust it. Like, what's the other shoe that's gonna drop, right? It's gonna be a hard process. There's no way we can apply. And so I saw our community members just talking themselves out of this. And that's the part where I'm like, you know what, this is a problem because there's funding and there's funding available. And I mean, I'll say your process wasn't that hard. I mean, I'm just saying it wasn't easy. Like you weren't writing blank checks, but I saw that they made the process very user friendly, right? And they were like, they asked for feedback from us as air districts to kind of like, okay, how do you think this will land with the community? And we were giving folks feedback. They were having informational sessions, I think, for people as they were filling out like, you know, interest. Like there was a lot of ways in which they were trying to get people to the table. And there were some people who truly talked themselves out of it. And I'm like, that hurts my heart because there's some people who just think that they're not deserving of it. Like there must be a catch. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, how many times we've done this work? People have done this work with no pay, without any money, like wanted to have a vision, but didn't have that. So the more that we can get this information out into the communities, the better it will truly suit us. You know, I'm definitely in spaces now with some of the consistently nominated communities who are angry, who are upset, who are mad about the pollution. They're not in a space of applying for a grant because there's a certain amount of like growth mindset that you have to be to apply to a grant. They're literally like, I want y'all in here taking care of these polluters. So they're not in that space to be able to move, like think toward the future. So I think that there has to be multiple approaches. So I'm super happy that you came to talk to us. I think I want us to be more and more aware because sometimes we might be having to have that conversation. You all have this conversation now, so maybe you'll hear something from a community member and they may say to you, yeah, I don't know about that card. You can say, no. We were in space with them. This is what it's meant for, you know, so you all might have to be that kind of advocate for this. But I just know that there is so much money out in the communities that people are talking themselves out of. And we need to get that in there to do some of this work, to do some of this research, to get ahead. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, on that same note, I can't stress enough that some organizations sometimes just need a little bit of help from you all to maybe even think that they can do it, just as Dr. Sessa mentioned, but not only that, but maybe they need help in writing the grant. There's a couple of organizations that I can think of right now that are in the Southern California area that have challenges writing grant applications simply because they're a one-man show, right? And they're doing everything. So, you know, if you have a good talent in being able to communicate well, on paper, words. It is so critical for you to partner with organizations, like ask, like, you know, how can I help? Right? It may not just be advocating on paper, because if you are an introvert and you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. You can use those writing skills, those wonderful writing skills that I know that you all have, right? So there's different ways to stay engaged, not just one way. But again, I think you know that just being in the community and having to think of innovative solutions, that there's a lot of different ways to engage. We just have to work together. There's a lot of different things that are kind of coming at us in many different ways. And I can't stress enough, we gotta stay and stick together to, you know, kind of combat the negativity.
If I know Jordan had to step off, but one thing that when we were meeting with Jordan and the crew within their community, you know, they were talking about like real things, like they were older folks and they don't know how to navigate things, right? So they were talking about there being an access issue. right?
Technical divide.
A technical divide, yes. And so that sometimes you all might represent that bridge over that technical divide. Just real talk, like there's some times where you know that that's happening, right? People will talk themselves out because they don't necessarily know how to do those things. And so it might need that walkthrough. And so it may be hard to be able to ask young folks, but what I've been hearing in some of our communities is like, for a lot of you, like you've grown up doing that. You've grown up advocating for your parents. You've grown up advocating for your grandparents. You've already been doing that. And so it might mean some conversations that we have to have with community folks to say, okay, you know what? We understand that this might be this history of this, but let's try. Like they might need you to have that conversation. And then you can have some tough questions. Maybe they aren't, as savvy to be able to ask the tough questions, but I know y'all are. And so, and that I feel like that's good, right? Like that's good. But that's the kind of intervention that we wanted you to kind of hear this information for, because we are hearing people like struggling with doing invoices. They got grants, but they don't know how to invoice. They're struggling to like keep track of things. Oftentimes because they're one person in their agency or in their organization, but sometimes that's just not what they've been doing. They've been doing it out of their houses and they've been doing it for no money. So to be able to have a $100,000 grant or have a $50,000 grant to do something like, and so there's a lot of imposter syndrome. Y'all have heard of that before, like imposter syndrome? Like that's a very real thing that's going on in our communities. And right now, when all of this stuff is going on in the federal government, in which it reinforces people should not be in these spaces and making people think that they shouldn't be in these spaces, that stuff starts to seep in and then they go, okay, we're not going to apply for the money because we don't belong here. So I feel like you all can really advocate on that way. And so you can again tell us like, oh, nope, that application is really rough. Like, no, you should really think about this, or, don't require people to write 10 letters of recommendation. Maybe they only need 2. They don't even need any. But you know what I'm saying? Like you all giving advice. This is where I feel like Melinda is like being really honest and like saying these are some of the issues and concerns, and you all as young people can really kind of sort of help, because that technical divide is a real thing, and that is keeping money out of the pockets of some of the people who really, really need to do this work, and not do it like because they can't, like I ought to do it, but I can't afford to do it. Like that may be their only thing, like, so anyway, so other thoughts that you all might have?
Yeah.
So based on that, and you mentioned your educational program or like financing those educational programs, and you talked about like learning how to navigate these like these meetings, like these type of meetings. Is there that as well, like learning how to manage your money that you get from grants and how to do grant writing? Is that involved in that?
There isn't that, but I think indirectly you can learn that. There are organizations that have done it like, 10, 15 years and have learned a lot of lessons. And I think connecting with those type of organizations can really kind of give that education. So it's not necessarily a formal education, but certainly an informal education, maybe through the collaboration of other organizations just supporting a particular group or individual who's interested in learning about that. Can certainly be, achieved. So I definitely feel like maybe not the formal, but definitely informal. We can definitely get at that. Yeah. Great
Thank you
question.
for bringing that up, because that is a true thing.
Because I wouldn't know how to like help in that way, but if I could learn, I'd be willing.
But I think, like I said, you don't realize that your talents of like, so just as Dr. Sessa mentioned, how to do technical stuff, right? You know how to get on the phone and do all this. You probably do it with your hand, right? There's a lot of folks that don't know how to do that. Like, oh, it's so easy. Just get on your phone and apply. Well, there's a lot of folks that are community-based organizers, right? That are older or just not technically savvy that, just say, I'm intimidated by how to do that, right? Just even applying. Do you have a hard copy? Do you have a phone? I mean, phones are kind of like, they still have landlines, right?
Yeah.
And, the thing goes ring and, they're just, I know that I'm dating myself, but, there's the phone that you got to stick your finger in and dial. So again, there definitely are ways, creative ways for you to stay engaged. So you may not know how to do that now, but I'm sure you can pick it up like that and be able to teach somebody else. So don't, feel like there's only one way to do it.
Well, let me even go there myself. Like, I don't necessarily know everybody's background, but I know several of you are in college. Several of you all are doing research. I know some folks who are on YLAC are also getting their doctorate degree. I mean, there's a lot of research potential aspects to things. I mean, there's so many different opportunities opportunities that are there. You all might be recipients, right? Potentially like for CAD grants or whatever, or be part of organizations that you might be a part of. And so we all need y'all's mind. We need your mind, okay? We need you all to be thinking like you grew up in this, right? That's what's necessary. Like if we're talking about how do we do this, especially how do we do this in this environment that is right now, in which you cannot trust what is up. What is it on that Stranger Things, the upside down? That thing was like everything is upside down or whatever. That's a real and true thing. And so I really feel like, coming at it from a multitude of ways, like we need your insights. We need your innovative growth mindset. That's what's going to help, right? That's what's going to help. So it's not just our community steering communities. It's going to be our consistently nominated communities. It's going to be these CAG grant recipients. We need all hands on deck to be able to do this in this environment in which, the federal government has changed what is and what is not, and so, we need y'all. All I'm saying is like the need is still there, even more so. So it might be technological help within your communities. I'm going to hear you when you say what you just said too, because I do feel like there is a skill set that maybe if CARB isn't providing it, there's something else that maybe AQMD can provide, because we've been dealing with a lot of that as well in terms of just how to navigate all of these practices. We do, Carolina actually works with the folks who do invoices every month to kind of walk them through the steps, right? No one, like, we were having so many issues, we're like, well, can we just offer this? And it's been a struggle to even get people to show up, but they know that she's there, and then that's not going to be any judgment, because there's a shame a little bit in that too. Like, I should be able to know how to do this. And because you don't, because I mean, honestly, people have been taught to not be fiscally responsible, and not know how to do all these things. And so we're providing those ways to do it. So, folks can say we shouldn't have to, but you know what? Let's should out the window. Like, this is what we need to do to make sure we can get the funds into the people's hands. So, cool. Any other thoughts?
Well, I'm over at CSERT, over with UC Riverside.
Oh, awesome.
So I was kind of curious, are there certain, I don't know what the word would be for this, like a zeitgeist, like some kind of major overarching process or thing that could be experimented on or like understood better that communities want to have like more of a concrete understanding of, like a direction for research, I guess. Is there anything that you would kind of like to share that CARB's kind of been pushing towards or into?
I think it'll just really depend on the community, right? Because every community, some have already done some of that research, but I think many are on the cusp of, what do I need to address in order for you to give me the resources so the emissions will go down?
Okay.
Right? And so just being able to have that data is so important for communities and be able to understand the data, right? They don't have a degree, they're not working. Some of those folks are not working on degrees. So it's like whatever you need to, like whatever data you need to formalize to help me get to that answer, I'm happy to work with you, right?
Okay.
We have communities right now that are working with different data researchers, community researchers, academic researchers. So we have some folks that are working with UC Merced and UC Davis, and what are the other ones? Right now, those are the ones that pop into my mind that are really trying to deal down, like for instance, pesticide use, right? How are pesticide use impacting farm workers? So they're wearing these wristbands and backpacks in order to do monitoring, right? On a small, so as the farm workers are going around and doing their normal duties on the farms, right? They're wearing these backpacks that is collecting monitoring data. Yeah, it's so innovative, right? Because all they have to do is just wear these backpacks and wear these little wristbands. And then at the end of their day, they, kind of put those away and then they come back again. So there's a collection of data. So we understand what is being impacted, what is impacting these farm workers as they work, right? From an air quality standpoint. So there's a lot of different approaches to research. But again, it's going to really depend on the communities. And if you don't know how to dial in, like if that's your bread and butter is research, there's absolutely organizations and communities that are interested in working with researchers such as yourself that would be like, I'm here to service and be able to provide some help on the research end, right? And if you want to do that, they're absolutely willing to take the help, right? Or even if you want to give guidance, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of get involved in all of this in different aspects, not just here, but in whatever your, world is. So if it's advocacy and it's talking in front of groups, or if it's research, or if it's kind of paperwork and data collection, whatever the case may be, there is an avenue for you, right? And for you to just kind of stay in your lane and have it align with your work, or even add to your already growing resume. So I guess what I'm saying is don't limit yourself. Sky is the limit, right? I'm here as a resource to be able to kind of like help you think about all the other opportunities that are out there for you. Okay.
We throwing a lot at y'all. But in terms of the goals that we had for you all, I believe this year we had the chair came to this group and speak. I think that Susan or Wayne came to the group and speak this all. And then we had the outside folks from CARP. So I really am just very pleased that almost every single meeting we were able to have someone come in. I think what we will do even next year is adding a community member to be able to. I think we were going to try to have that in the last meeting and it didn't work out. But I think that's going to be our intention, is to put this YLAC group in space with folks and resources on at every single meeting. So whether it be an AQMD person or another person from an air district or CARB, there's another organization, CAPCOA, that we work with, but just something where you all can kind of be plugged into not just the governing board members, because that's just one aspect of people in leadership working on air pollution. And I want you all to know them all, right? I want you to be able to truly expand your network. So that's what I hope this YLAC group is intended to do, is to expand your network. So thank you, Melinda, for coming in and talking with us. This was a wealth of information. Yes, awesome. All right, so I already know, Heather, I'm going to my list right now. Okay, so where we are in our meeting is upcoming engagement opportunities. So this is our opportunity to share the upcoming opportunities for YLAC members. We are, I think Friday is the last day, correct, for YLAC for 2026?
That's correct. So at the very end of the agenda package, we have the flyer. Applications closed this Friday for the 2026 year. We've had a record number of applications that we've received so far.
Wow.
But we do try and give returning members
priority.
Final selections are up to the governing board chair, but we would love to see you all back again. A note on the engagement opportunities. We do have a list of the various governing board, legislative, administrative, mobile source, stationary source committee meetings. So if you want to make your voices heard, this is a great place to do so during public comment. And then if you go to the South Coast AQMD website and just look at the calendar, you can also see working group meetings for upcoming rules. So a lot of times people will go to these meetings to offer insights and have changes needed before it actually goes to committee, because by the time it goes to committee, it's almost too late to stop at that point. So it's another great opportunity to make your voices heard.
And thank you, Andreas, for mentioning that you do watch the admin committee meetings. Definitely showing up in meetings and identifying yourself as a YLAC person in the public comment, either virtually or in person, always, I think, is a good idea to let people know that you're seeing them, and that you're showing up and participating in those processes, I think is also another good way to show representation. So yeah, let's see. Okay, anything else that we'd like to share that I can't think of beside that list? Okay, all righty. So it's at this point we ask, is there any other business that is questions or clarification, or any announcements anyone like to make?
No hands raised.
Okay, and then this is a time at the meeting in which we ask for public comment. So this is an opportunity for the public to speak on any subject matter within this particular council's authority that is not on the agenda. Is there any public comment in the room?
None in the room and no hands raised online.
Okay, excellent. All right, so there's no cajoling, but I truly do hope we see you all next year. If you all are interested in staying involved with YLAC, we would definitely appreciate the continuity. That always helps us to, I mean, we're going to do onboarding for the new folks, right? And so record number of people who join or whatever, but our goal honestly is to have as much retention as we can from the outgoing folks because that kind of holds us accountable. And then we will always want to have new energy as well. So we open it up to new folks too. So that is this Friday, like Heather mentioned. So I hopefully will see you all in the new year. Thank you. Right. That concludes our meeting. Thank you. All right. Now y'all better take these leftovers. Do we have any bags?
Alberto, we
Bye.
stop the recording.
So what?
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.
Yes.
I really wish, can we ask them?
Yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out. So I sit on a board for
Yeah.
recreation.
Okay.
So we're gonna leave them here?
And we've looked at the
Yeah.